Good afternoon. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can find us on television channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundance Television, syndicated, found on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and don't forget the podcast, netsnewsnetwork.net. So I have with me Brian Brown. This is our second, we're kind of going two different stages. We had part one, this is part two. And so let's talk about, and you were just kind of, I didn't know what was going on there, like a plant was taking over you.
Yeah, that's right. So we're actually putting on a invasive plant workshop tomorrow. And that's why I look so rough right now, is because I've been gathering plants. And so this is actually a very, I think this plant should be outlawed. This is the Callery pear. So those Bradford pears that you have in your yard that you planted, it turns into this. And so I'll see if I can show you that.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So this is actually a small one. But these thorns, you can tell when I put my hand behind that thorn there, it really shows up there. These get really, really thick, especially as they get older. And that will puncture a tractor tire.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
So that's why these are so invasive. So when the Bradford pear come out in the 70s, 80s, I don't know when it was, but it was, it hadn't been around that long in the grand scheme of things. People were planting Bradford pears. They love and they were supposed to be sterile, and they ended up not being sterile. So now you just drive down the highway in the spring and you see these white blooming trees and you're thinking, oh, they're so beautiful. They're terrible.
They're taking over the world.
They are, and they are an ecological disaster. And South Carolina actually has a program. I think it's South Carolina, maybe North Carolina, but they have a program where if you cut down a Bradford pear in their state, you will get a free tree to replace it with.
That must be North Carolina, because they were everywhere when we lived in Charlotte.
Yeah, they are seriously an ecological disaster, and they get these thorns on them, and people try to mow them down, and they end up busting their tractor tires. And if you've ever bought a tractor tire before, those things are very expensive. So it's just really bad.
These things are actually getting worse than kudzu. Yeah. You are seeing them everywhere.
Yeah, and so this is the original parent. So this one, it has no thorns on it. But yeah, this is the Bradford pear. So this is Pyrus Caleriana Bradfordi. So this is the cultivar Bradford pear. But you can see there's no thorns on this. You can see the little flower buds on there. So, but yeah, we have a lot. One of the things I like to talk about is this one. A lot of people see this and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're touching that?" Yeah, it's this is Virginia creeper. A lot of people think this is poison oak. This is not poison oak or poison ivy. I think a lot of people confuse it because
I started just itching because I am allergic to poison oak.
I am highly allergic to it. I am deathly allergic to it. I think a lot of people confuse that because it does grow. It's a native, has beautiful fall color, and poison oak does too, or poison ivy does too. Now this, notice it's in a bag.
It's in a bag, yeah.
This is poison ivy. Now, I picked this using gloves, but this is poison ivy. But it has similar leaves. Now, the rule we always use is leaves of 3, let it be. So if you see something with 3 leaves, make sure you just don't touch it. You usually see those two growing together, and I think that's where a lot of people get the confusion. Yeah. So, we have this one. This may be something that's in your own yard. This is actually. Let me see if I can find it here. Yeah. I have a bag full of goodies here.
If you're cutting grass and you get close to that thing, you get too close, those things hurt.
Yes. So this and this came off the same plant.
What?
Yeah.
So how? That's strange.
So this is Chinese holly. And well, both of these are Chinese hollies. That's a category of plants. But this one, if you can see, so this is what is called a reversion. So this plant is called the Burford holly or dwarf Burford holly. If every now and then it will revert back to this, and you have to cut this out. So a lot of people confuse this. Now this one will grow out in the woods. Birds eat the berries, and then it just spreads all over the place. But I will tell you, if you cut this and you don't clean it up, these little things are very sharp anyway, but when they dry out, they're incredibly sharp, and they hurt. They hurt so bad. I've been stabbed. I can't tell you how many times with those things. I've just got a lot of fun things. I've got a bag full of toys here. Privet,
I'm loving every minute of this.
Privet. Privet is so invasive. It is terribly invasive. That's one. Now this is an interesting one. So do you know this plant?
Looks like Queen Anne's lace.
You're right. This is Queen Anne's lace. So this can be confused with a very, very poisonous hemlock. It has a very similar bloom structure on it. That's called a umbel. So umbel, like umbrella. That's kind of what that means. So I guess it's the same root word, but this is Queen Anne's lace. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it or not in my little camera, but the stem, yeah, you can kind of see it.
I can see the stem.
Yeah, it's very hairy. So that is one distinct difference. Let's see that one. That one you can see the hairs on it. That is a distinct difference between that and poison hemlock. And we do have poison hemlock here. Just you don't see it a whole lot, but out in the pastures and things, it's very easily confused. But the hairy stem is the giveaway on this one. Poison hemlock has spotted, smooth stems. So if you say purple spots, stay away. It is poison hemlock, and it will make you very, very, very sick.
So that is if you touch it or ingest it. I mean, I can
definitely don't touch it.
Ingest it. Yeah.
Do not touch it. It's bad. Let's see. I've got so many of these things. They're kind of fun though. Oh gosh, I hate this plant. You know this one?
Is that the mimosa? I can't tell.
You're right. This is mimosa. I think other people call it a silk plant or silk tree. Terribly invasive. Really, really bad invasive.
You know what? We had, when I was a kid growing up, I grew up in Oxford, Chehaw Acres number 2. Rick Burgess was Chehaw Acres number 1. I was number 2. So anyway, there was a mimosa tree, and my parents were cutting these things down. I was just a little kid. And I said, because I even wanted to plant things back then. I was about 6 years old. Yeah. And so there's just a limb. And I said, can I plant this in the ground? And they said, sure. They didn't think it would live. It lived. You can't kill them. Yeah. You can even just.
Yeah. And that's, and that's one of the things about invasive plants is, they just grow naturally. I
thought it was a farmer. I didn't know. Little did I know mimosa will come up. Anybody can throw that in the ground.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. This one's. So this one's called Royal Paulownia. Now, when I learned this plant, it's called Paulownia tomentosa. So tomentose means it's very, very hairy. So if you feel this, it's very soft. And one of my professors, he called this the Charmin tree. So he's like, if you ever get caught in a situation,
we all might need to get that one.
That's right. He said, if you get caught in a situation, this is one you want. This is
supply
this Charmin
versus
tree.
demand. You remember what happened at COVID?
That's right. That's right. Last ditch effort right here. But strength wise, might want to be careful with it. But this is a very invasive plant. If you're riding down the interstate in this early spring and you see these big purple flowers, just huge clusters of flowers, Paulownia tomentosa. This is Royal Paulownia. They actually have a Paulownia fortunei that a guy in my Bible study, he actually grows this plant. It's kind of a cousin of that one. It's called fortunei, Paulownia fortunei, and they grow it as a hardwood. And they grow it for furniture and plywood and different things like that. So it's pretty interesting. So
Now, what was the
Gosh,
plant? Was it elephant ears or something we saw when we went on tour? Um,
so it was
Lamb's ear.
lamb's ear. Yeah, so lamb's ear is very, very soft also, and it's a
Oh, that's
landscape plant.
beautiful.
Yeah, and it's silvery. It's very, very silvery, almost white color. But yeah, it feels like a lamb's ear. That's why they call it lamb's ear.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it really does. It was incredible. And, I got all those plants and everything come up, and I said, well, I'm going to get the lamb's ear. I walked right out and didn't get it.
yeah.
That's what I came there for, was the lamb's ear.
Now, another one we have, I really do have a box full of goodies here. So this one's
I'm
really
excited.
interesting.
Oh,
So this one is called the Multiflora Rose, and it is a wild rose, and it is incredibly invasive. It looks just like a little rose. I'm trying to handle it with care because it was right next to some poison ivy.
ooh.
But yeah, this is a wild rose, and it is. It's actually, if you look real close, let's see if I can get it aligned right.
Kind of like the old song, the old Irish Rose or something. Old Irish Rose.
You see that damage?
Yeah, I see that. What happened?
Japanese beetles.
Oh, of course.
So
I
they,
should
like I
have
said, they love roses. They really love roses, and this
Yeah,
is,
I had to cut down my orange rose.
Yeah,
They got
it
all over it.
didn't matter what species it is, they still love it. So, let's see what else I got here.
Now,
This one-
let me ask you about that rose there, because
Yeah.
there are some roses that are more fragrant than others. Would this be one you would want to get or stay away from it?
No, please do not use this. This will be growing out in the woods, and you'll think, "Oh wow, there's a wild rose," and it is a wild rose, but
There's a
incredibly
reason it's out in
invasive.
the woods.
Kill it. If you need a rose, I will get you a rose. Do
I'll
not
get my
plant that
Smith
plant.
and Wesson and I'll shoot it. How about
Yeah.
that?
So this is a black cherry. It's not that invasive, but I wanted to point this out. Black cherries are actually poisonous. So I don't know if you can see this or not, but on the back side of that leaf, it's kind of hard. It's opposite. Do you see that little fuzz?
Mm-hmm. I can see it. You got a
Yeah.
good camera, by the way.
Yeah. So that fuzz is actually arsenic.
Oh my goodness!
And so
you better
in
wash your hands before you eat. I guess you
Yeah, so actually in the fall, when this changes and gets its fall color, that arsenic will actually increase, and so very toxic to animals. So if you have this plant in your pasture and your cows eat it, they
God.
can die from it.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
it has to. I mean, a cow will have to eat a pretty good bit of it, but it will kill cows, goats, sheep, anything like that,
Anything?
horses. But yeah, very, very toxic to animals. So if you have this in your pasture, you want to cut it down. Black cherry, it's great for making furniture, doing woodworking
But you're not
and
going to
stuff.
chew the furniture, so you're okay.
That's right. That's right. And it's really just the leaf. The leaf has that little mid vein on that leaf has has the arsenic. So
And that does it. Brian, we've got to go into a commercial break, but show more. I want to see more when we come back. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Everybody hang in there. Oh, I love that. I love it. Absolutely. Okay, we'll go back in. 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon. We are back from our commercial break. I have Brian Brown with me right now, and we are looking at invasive plants. It's almost. I'm going to say this, and this is it. Dollar General is one of our sponsors, but I just want to say this. They are putting out. We actually have 2 Dollar Generals now in Geraldine, Alabama.
wow.
So this guy was really funny. We were talking about invasive plants. It was one of the places we went, I think, on tour. And he said, "You know what? I saw a Dollar General bag on the floor, and I went on ahead and grabbed it off of I was afraid it would sprout another store."
Yeah,
It's kind of like these invasive plants. You got to be careful.
that's right.
Because I put some mint out one time, chocolate.
Oh gosh.
And I put it in the garden, which was dumb. And before the end of, it's like chocolate mint was everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this mint is one of the things that can just really take over
I'll
a
keep
place.
it in a container.
So I'm gonna quiz you on this. Do you know what that is? See if I can rotate the flower around to.
Is that lavender?
No, not quite lavender. but it has a beautiful purple bloom on it, right?
Violet.
Do you know what that is?
Uh-uh.
Kudzu.
Maybe it's because I'm going to say something. I had a friend who was here last year, and she said, "Oh my God, Donna, there's kudzu in your garden."
Yeah.
I started freaking. So she said, "Where's your shovel? I'm getting it." She said, "I'm just telling you, a bird probably just flew over and did you know what?" She said, "That's kudzu." So she got it.
So
you can't get rid of it.
It's bad. That, you know, and that's what we're doing in our workshop tomorrow is we're going to discuss, you know, what you can do to control these species. So, so
Why
this
would
is
you want kudzu? I mean, why would anybody say, "I think I'm going to plant kudzu"?
well, it was originally used for erosion control, and so you know it was brought over from Asia, from China, and they used it for. It did work for erosion control, but they didn't know it was just going to take over the South and swallow us whole. So now this is a really interesting plant. What do you think that is? Poison ivy?
I was thinking some kind of mint.
No, it's got leaves of 3.
Oh my God, is it poison ivy? You're touching it.
It looks just like poison ivy. This is Acer nugundo. This is actually a maple tree.
Wowzer. I was wondering why you were holding poison ivy.
Yeah, and I hope I identified it right. But yeah, the leaf on this looks exactly like poison oak or poison ivy. Sorry, it looks exactly like poison ivy, but this is a maple tree. It is this is called a box elder, and you know it has 3 to 5 leaves, and it's very often confused because you're like, oh no, I have a whole tree of poison ivy. No, it's a box elder. But the leaves, or let me rephrase that to be technically correct. Leaflets. The leaflets, which are smaller leaves, they look exactly like poison ivy. So, so yeah, just be careful on that. You know, again, leaves of 3, let it be. If you see a box elder, you know, it's a very common plant, but it is kind of weedy. But I've seen people use them in their yards. So.
Now this is kind of a landscaping question. This is a good one for you. And this was let's go ahead and get this one. This is from Jeff.
Okay.
So Jeff wanted to know about, like, when you are planting trees, shouldn't you let a designer come out and let them explain to you where to, because if you put it in the wrong spot, like I would die. You know where the patio is?
Sure.
Patio out back. I would freak out if a tree came up and blocked my view of that pond.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to think of those things, don't you?
Well, you know, with the internet, do your homework. There's some trees that are better than others. You know, I think a lot of people leave some of the worst trees when they're clearing out a spot to build their house. They leave some of the worst trees out there. Water oaks. Water oaks are some of the worst trees out there because they constantly drop limbs. They're a strong tree, but you can't hardly plant anything around them. They're called water oak for a reason because they suck up so much water from the ground. It will completely dry out an area. And they're just messy. They're very, very messy. So if you want to plant a tree, you know, go to your local garden center, ask them, hey, what's a good tree for this area? Maybe take a picture of where you want to put it from a different angle. You
That's
know, like
a great idea.
Yeah. So stand back from the house, take a picture toward the house, and then, like in your situation, you know, if you have your back porch, take a picture looking out and say, okay, this is what I want this view. How do I keep this view but have me some shade? And they can recommend you a good tree that maybe you don't need a huge tree. Maybe you don't want to plant an oak tree. Maybe you want something a little bit smaller, and they can give you recommendations on that. I will say, when you plant a tree, make sure you plant it properly. And if you want to know how to do that, you know, there's plenty of guides online. Make sure you go to an extension website or our website, aces.edu, and you can
and don't leave the packaging around it. How about that?
That's right. That's right. But you know, girdling tree or girdling roots is one of the biggest problems, and that's when the roots will kind of grow across each other, and then it just kind of chokes the plant to death, and then it dies within 3 to 5 years.
Well, even when you're pruning, I mean, you want to take off a limb. You don't want the limbs to even.
That's right. That's right. So plant them properly, and make sure go to your local garden center. They can give you some good recommendations on trees. But yeah, we have, this one. I used to eat this plant. Poisonous. It's poisonous.
What?
You know what it is?
I can't tell.
That's poke salad. So I don't recommend just straight eating it. You have to boil it twice.
How about I just won't go there because I'm afraid I won't cook it long enough.
Yeah, that's my grandma used to cook it. She'd boil it twice, and then she cooked it with eggs. And
that always grossed me out. I didn't like the egg in it.
Yeah, it's not my favorite, but now this one I'm having to. Oh gosh, this one's I can barely handle this plant.
Uh-oh.
It is
You better be careful. Is it poisonous? It's actually pretty.
This is very invasive. This is called
the prickly pear.
No, this is a musk thistle. So this is.
So if I see that beautiful little plant out there on the wood somewhere, I do not need to dig it up and put it in my yard.
No, you find this a lot in pastures, and so you see. Let me see if I can line it up here. You see those? Mm-hmm. Every single one of those is a seed.
Oh my!
So there's thousands of them in there, and so this was actually beside a stop sign, and I harvested it beside the stop sign, and a lady thought I was crazy. I was like, "No, I'm just picking weeds." But yeah, that's called a musk thistle, and it's people have them in their pastures all the time, and yeah. But anyway, that's what we're going to do tomorrow. We're actually having one of these next week in Guntersville. So if anybody is interested in coming to that, we will be at the Boaz Fairgrounds, I believe it is. And you can go to our website, aces.edu, look at the calendar, and look for invasive plant. You can do a search for invasive plant, and you can see where we're going to have that. So love to have everybody out and learn how to control these things.
I used to just drive both my grandmothers crazy. I remember coming out here to the farm when I was about 6 years old, and I saw some pretty purple flowers. I was out in the pasture just having a good time. I always loved the land. And so I actually got a little shovel, and I dug this little nice pretty thing up, and I planted it in my grandmother's flower garden. Mm-hmm. It was a wild violet. And it spread like crazy. It's probably still out there somewhere.
Yeah, those you got to watch. It's good to, you don't have to know every scientific name. I had to in school, but you do need to know your plant and make sure that it's something that it's okay to plant and not going to take over like mint.
Yeah, because your grandmother will get mad at you if you plant something invasive in the
That's
garden.
That's right.
Brian, we're going to have to call it today. Thank you so much for being on the show. It's always a pleasure. I always
Absolutely.
And you take care. And folks, get out there, okay? You're going to love. Oh, and by the way, Master Gardener classes. I am a cheerleader for Master Gardener classes. When's the next one?
Well, we're starting in August, so registration is now closed for fall, but we will have one in Cherokee County in the spring. So we will start up a new class, and people in DeKalb and Etowah County, if they missed out on this time, they can go to Cherokee County. It's right in the middle of those two, and we'd love to have you participate in that.
I highly recommend it. Absolutely. Bye, Brian. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for watching The Edge. We appreciate you. We'll see you in a later segment. Bye, Brian.
You've been at this for 12 years. Why are you doing it? Because God's children are not for sale.
Rated PG-13.
The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors, and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462.
Wow, it's so soft and smooth.
It's cool to the touch. How did you do that?
Well, we took MyPillow's patented fill and combined it with this new technology that we didn't have back then when I invented MyPillow to bring you the best pillow in history, MyPillow 2.0. Because of all of you, MyPillow 2.0 has been a huge success, and now we're bringing you our best-selling Go Anywhere MyPillows with the same temperature-regulating technology. Made with my patented adjustable fill and brand new cooling fabric, they're truly the next generation of MyPillow. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save over 60% on our MyPillow 2.0 4-pack special. You'll get 2 MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows, regular $259.92, now only $99.98. King size just $10 more. This is a limited time offer, so please order now.
Donna's Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities.
At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant.